My rich in-laws mocked me, so I exposed their secret in front of everyone. My day always started before the sun even thought about peeking over the rolling hills of Riverbend. The smell of simmering spices and fresh corn masa was my alarm clock, a comforting scent that filled our small kitchen. My hands, calloused from years of work, moved with a practiced rhythm, mixing the mesa for the tamales. Every stir, every fold, was a memory of my mama. She taught me everything, not just how to cook, but how to pour your heart into every single dish. Her recipes weren't just instructions, they were stories, and I was blessed to be the one keeping them alive. "Leo, you got the wood," I called out, wiping my hands on my apron. Just then, the screen door banged open, and my little brother, Leo, stumbled in, dragging a bundle of kindling almost as big as he was. His face was smudged with dirt, but his eyes sparkled with that endless energy only a 10-year-old has. "Got it, Maya. But I don't think it's enough. I can run down to the creek for more if you want," he offered, already bouncing on the balls of his feet. I shook my head, a smile tugging at my lips. "Stay put, champ. We can't risk the fire dying now. Help me chop these branches. We'll go together later." He nodded eagerly, grabbing the small hatchet with hands that were small but surprisingly steady. He was always ready to help, always ready for an adventure. From the backyard, Chloe appeared, carrying a basket overflowing with freshly washed corn husks. My older sister, Chloe, was the quiet one, but she was the backbone of the Daily Spoon, right alongside me. She was only 15, but she had a maturity that went way beyond her years. "They're all ready, Maya. Rinse them 3 times, just like you asked." "Perfect, Chloe. You never miss a beat," I told her, and she gave me a small, rare smile. She was my rock, keeping everything organized and making sure no detail was ever overlooked. After Mama and Papa were gone, taken from us too soon in that car accident, it was just the 3 of us. I stepped up, not just as a sister, but as a mother and a guide. It wasn't easy, but we had each other, and we had Mama's legacy. Our food truck, the Daily Spoon, was more than just a vehicle. It was our pride and joy. We decorated it ourselves with colorful fabrics and hand-painted signs. Chloe carefully arranged the steaming tamales and other dishes in baskets, making sure everything was just right for our daily trip to the town square. Leo, already buzzing with impatience, was pushing the truck with all his might. "I'm pushing today, Maya. I want to get there before anyone else." "All right, superstar, but don't go too fast," I warned, following him with a laugh. "If you spill the mole, you're cleaning it up yourself." Riverbend was just waking up. The church bells chimed, marking the start of a new day, and the cobblestone streets slowly filled with the sounds of vendors setting up their stalls. We parked the Daily Spoon by the old fountain, a perfect spot where the irresistible smells of our food would draw in the early birds. Mr. Henderson, our first customer every single day, walked up with his cane, a warm smile on his face. "Morning, Maya. Give me 3 tamales, honey, and make 'em big. Don't try to shortchange me." "You always get the best, Mr. Henderson," I replied, filling his order. "How's Mrs. Henderson doing today?" "Same as ever, complaining about me. But she never misses your tamales. Says they remind her of her youth." He chuckled, walking away with his warm bag. The line started growing fast. I worked with a steady hand and a friendly word for everyone, serving each order while Leo ran around the square, shouting our specials: hot tamales, chicken mole, pork, and green chili. Best in all of Riverbend. His voice echoed with such energy that some of the town kids would even mimic him, which only brought more customers to our truck. A young couple stopped, drawn by the buzz. "They say these are the best in town," the woman said, taking a bite of a green chili tamale. Her eyes lit up. "Oh my goodness, this is incredible. How do you get the masa so perfect?" "Just a lot of hard work and love," I answered, feeling a warmth spread through me. "Yeah, that's all." Chloe, meanwhile, kept our truck spotless. She washed dishes and organized ingredients with the same dedication I did. To her, I was more than just a sister. I was an example of strength and sacrifice. She rarely said it, but I knew she admired how I faced each day. Old Mr. Thorne, a neighbor with kind gray hair and a slow walk, came up as usual. "Maya, child, these tamales have your mama's soul in them. She'd be so proud of you." "Thank you, Mr. Thorne," I said, swallowing hard to keep my emotions in check. Everything I do is for her and for my siblings. The day flew by, and our baskets started to empty. It was hard work, long hours, but seeing the smiles on people's faces, knowing we were bringing a little bit of joy and comfort into their day, that made it all worth it. My dream of a real restaurant, a place with a roof and proper tables, a place where Mama's recipes could truly shine, felt a little closer every single day. It was a big dream for a girl from Riverbend, but I knew, deep down, that with Chloe and Leo by my side, anything was possible. I just had to keep pushing, one tamale at a time. The next morning, the familiar rhythm of the kitchen was my comfort. The scent of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon filled the air as I prepared our breakfast burritos. We were getting ready for another busy day at the Daily Spoon. Chloe was already counting the change from yesterday, her brow furrowed in concentration, while Leo was trying to convince me to let him add extra hot sauce to the breakfast burritos. Just a little. Maya, it'll make them famous, he pleaded, holding up a bottle of fiery red sauce. No, Leo. Not everyone likes their breakfast with a kick that strong. I laughed, gently taking the bottle from him. Maybe for a special, but not for every day. Just as we were about to head out, a sleek, dark car, unlike anything usually seen in Riverbend, pulled up near our usual spot by the fountain. Out stepped a man who looked like he belonged in a magazine. He was tall, with sharp features and a suit that probably cost more than our food truck. He was Andrew Thorne. I'd heard whispers around town that a big shot developer from Central City was in town, looking at properties for some new project. I figured he was just passing through, maybe lost. He walked with a purpose, his eyes scanning the square, and then, to my surprise, he stopped right in front of the Daily Spoon. He looked at our hand-painted sign, then at the steam rising from our pots. There was a curious look on his face, like he was trying to figure out what we were all about. Morning, I said, offering him a polite smile. Can I get you anything? He cleared his throat, his voice smooth and deep. I've heard about this place. The Daily Spoon. Right? People say your tamales are something else. They are, I confirmed, a little proud. What can I get for you? He hesitated for a moment, then pointed to the menu. I'll try one of your chicken mold tamales, please. And a coffee. Black. I handed him the tamale, wrapped in its corn husk, and a steaming cup of coffee. He took a bite, and I watched his expression carefully. His eyes widened slightly, a flicker of surprise, then something else, something like pure enjoyment. It wasn't the polite nod I usually got from tourists. It was genuine. This is incredible, he said, his voice softer now. The flavor, it's unlike anything I've had. It tastes real. It's my mama's recipe, I told him, feeling a warmth spread through me. Made with love. He stayed for a while, finishing his tamale and coffee, asking about Riverbend, about the food truck. He wasn't pushy or arrogant like I might have expected from someone from Central City. He was just interested. He asked about the ingredients, about the community, about our day-to-day. I found myself talking more freely than I usually did with strangers. He listened, really listened, and that was something special. From that day on, Andrew became a regular. Every morning, around the same time, his sleek car would pull up. He'd order something different each time, always with that same look of genuine appreciation. He'd sit at one of our small folding tables, watching us work, sometimes just sipping his coffee, sometimes asking questions. He learned our names, remembered Chloe's quiet efficiency, and laughed at Leo's antics. He wasn't just a customer anymore. He started helping us sometimes, holding a bag while I filled it, or even just wiping down a table. He told me about his work in Central City, about developing properties, about the fast pace of city life. It was a world so different from mine, a world I'd only seen on TV. But when he talked about it, he made it sound like just another job, not something that made him better than anyone else. I found myself looking forward to his visits. His presence, quiet and steady, became a comforting part of my morning routine. He saw me, not just as the girl who ran a food truck, but as Maya, the one who poured her heart into her food and her family. And I saw him, not just as a fancy businessman, but as Andrew, a kind man who appreciated simple, honest things. What started as a customer trying a tamale had slowly, gently, turned into something more, something I hadn't expected and wasn't quite ready to name, but it felt good. A new, unexpected flavor in my life. The days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Andrew and I were spending more and more time together. He wasn't just visiting the food truck anymore. He was showing up after we closed, helping us pack up, or sometimes just sitting with me and Chloe and Leo, talking about our day. He even helped Leo with his math homework once, which was a miracle in itself. My siblings liked him, and that meant everything to me. Chloe would give him her rare, quiet smiles, and Leo would chatter away, telling him all about his latest adventures. Our conversations grew deeper. We talked about our dreams, our fears, our families. He told me about his parents, Patricia and Mr. Thorne, and how important appearances were in their world. I told him about Mama, about our struggles, and how much the Daily Spoon meant to us. It felt easy, natural, being with him. He understood me in a way no one else ever had. It was a quiet kind of love that grew between us, like a steady flame. One evening, as we were cleaning up the truck, Andrew turned to me, his eyes serious but gentle. "Maya," he began, "my family is hosting a big charity gala in Central City next month. It's a pretty important event for them. I'd really like you to come with me." As my date, my heart fluttered. Central City. A gala. It sounded like something out of a movie. I pictured myself in a fancy dress, surrounded by people in expensive clothes, and a wave of nervousness washed over me. My usual uniform was an apron and comfortable shoes. A gala? Andrew? I don't know. He took my hand, his thumb gently stroking my knuckles. "It's important to me, Maya. I want you there. I want to share my world with you, just like you've shared yours with me." His words settled my nerves a little. He wanted to share his world. That meant something. "Okay," I said, a smile finally breaking through. "Okay, I'll come. Just don't expect me to know which fork to use." He laughed, a warm, genuine sound. "Don't worry about a thing. Just be yourself. That's all I want." The day of the gala arrived faster than I expected. Chloe helped me pick out a dress, a simple but elegant blue one that made me feel like a princess. Leo kept telling me I looked like a movie star. Andrew picked me up in his fancy car, and as we drove towards Central City, the buildings grew taller, the lights brighter, and my stomach started to do flip-flops. The venue was enormous, sparkling with chandeliers and filled with people in designer clothes. It was overwhelming, like stepping into a different universe. Andrew held my hand, squeezing it reassuringly. "You look beautiful, Maya. Don't be nervous." We made our way through the crowd, and Andrew introduced me to a few people. Everyone was polite, but I could feel their eyes on me, sizing me up. Then, Andrew led me towards a striking woman with perfectly coiffed hair and a sharp, unsmiling face. This was Patricia, Andrew's mother. "Mother, this is Maya," Andrew said, his voice warm. "Maya, this is my mother, Patricia." I offered her my best smile, extending my hand. "It's lovely to meet you, Mrs. Thorne." Patricia's eyes, cold and assessing, swept over me from head to toe. Her hand barely touched mine. A fleeting, icy brush. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Andrew has mentioned you," she said, her voice clipped, like she was speaking through gritted teeth. There was no warmth, no welcome, just a chilling politeness that felt colder than outright rudeness. She didn't ask me about Riverbend or the Daily Spoon or anything about me. Instead, she turned to Andrew. "Darling, Tiffany is looking for you. She's just arrived." Tiffany. The name hung in the air, loaded with meaning. I knew, without being told, that Tiffany was someone Patricia approved of, someone from Andrew's world. Patricia then turned back to me, her eyes narrowing slightly. "It's interesting to see you here, Maya. Andrew has always been so particular about his guests." Her tone was laced with a subtle disdain, a clear message that I didn't belong. My heart sank. I felt like a fish out of water, exposed and judged. The warmth of Andrew's hand in mine was the only thing keeping me grounded. This wasn't just a gala, it was a battleground, and Patricia had just drawn the first line. After that first cold greeting, Patricia made sure I felt her disapproval for the rest of the evening. She didn't have to say much. Her looks, her subtle turning away when I spoke, the way she steered Andrew towards other guests, especially young women like Tiffany, spoke volumes. It was like she had built an invisible wall around me, letting everyone know I wasn't part of their circle. I tried to shake it off, to focus on Andrew, who was trying his best to make me feel comfortable. But her presence was like a chill in the air. The next few weeks were even harder. Patricia started calling Andrew more often, suggesting he attend various social events without me. She organized small, exclusive dinners, making sure to invite other eligible young women from their high society. Andrew would tell me about them, sometimes with an apologetic sigh. "She's just trying to set me up, Maya. Don't worry about it. But I did worry. I heard the comments, subtle at first, then more direct. When Andrew and I were out for dinner in Central City, I overheard a woman whispering to her friend, "Isn't that Andrew Thorne? And who is she? Looks like she just stepped off a farm." Another time, at a small gathering Patricia had reluctantly allowed me to attend, I heard her talking to a friend, loud enough for me to hear, "Andrew is so kind-hearted, always wanting to help people." But sometimes people take advantage of that generosity, especially when they come from less fortunate circumstances. It was clear what she was implying, that I was only interested in Andrew's money, that I was using him to climb the social ladder. It stung, deep down. My whole life, I'd worked for everything I had. I took pride in our food truck, in the honest living we made. To be accused of being a gold digger, of having ulterior motives, was a slap in the face. Andrew, bless his heart, always defended me. If he heard a snide remark, he'd pull me closer, or change the subject with a firm tone. If Patricia tried to push me aside, he'd make sure I was included. "Maya works harder than anyone I know, Mother," I heard him say once, his voice tight with frustration. She built her business from the ground up, caring for her family. That's something to admire, not to look down on. His words were a comfort, but the constant pressure was exhausting. It felt like I was constantly under a microscope. Every move I made, every word I spoke, being judged and found lacking. Patricia didn't just disapprove of me. She saw me as a threat, an outsider who didn't fit into her carefully constructed world. She wanted to erase me from Andrew's life, and she wasn't shy about trying. I felt the weight of her prejudice, heavy on my shoulders. It was a different kind of struggle than the ones I was used to. Not about making ends meet or keeping the food truck running, but about proving my worth to people who thought they were better than me just because of where I came from. There were moments I wanted to just give up, to tell Andrew that maybe his mother was right, that our worlds were too different. But then I'd look at him, at the genuine love and respect in his eyes, and I'd remember why I was fighting. I wasn't going to let Patricia break us. I wasn't going to let her define me. My love for Andrew was real, and my worth wasn't measured by the size of my bank account or the name of my tailor. It was measured by my heart, by my hard work, and by the love I had for my family. I decided then and there that I would stand my ground. I would prove my value, not just to Patricia, but to myself. The invisible barriers she tried to put up, I would find a way to break through them, one way or another. I was Maya from Riverbend, and I wasn't going anywhere. The air in Riverbend shimmered with a promise of luxury and power as the night of the grand gala arrived. For Maya, however, it brought a heavy feeling of worry, a shadow that clung to her heart despite the beautiful evening. Andrew had described his parents' wedding anniversary party, hosted by Patricia and Mr. Thorne, as the most important social event of the year, a yearly display of wealth and influence. But this year, Maya sensed something deeply different, a coldness that went beyond the usual high society stiffness. Patricia, with her carefully planned coldness, had turned the simple invitation into a hidden trap, a subtle, dangerous game. Maya could feel the bad intentions behind Patricia's forced, polite smile, knowing deep down that Patricia saw this gala as the perfect chance to expose her, to tear down her reputation, and to finally push her out of Andrew's life forever. As she stood in front of the mirror, choosing the simple, elegant dress Andrew had insisted on buying for her, a soft midnight blue fabric that draped gracefully and made her dark eyes seem even deeper, Maya felt a tight knot in her stomach. It wasn't fear that made her hands tremble slightly, but a complex mix of deep discomfort and a quiet, burning determination. She knew she wasn't a woman of luxurious ballrooms, of empty, polite conversations, or of shallow displays of wealth. Her world was one of honest work, of warm kitchens, and of genuine human connections. The very idea of Patricia twisting her personal history, making up lies about her family, trying to make her seem less than worthy, wounded her pride deeply. Yet, this pain also ignited a fierce spark of resistance within her, a resolve to stand tall. Andrew, sensing the quiet storm brewing inside her, gently took her hands in his touch warm and steady. "You look truly beautiful, Maya," he said, his voice a soft murmur that cut through her worries. His eyes, usually so bright, now held a calm, steady light that she desperately needed. "No matter what happens there tonight, no matter what anyone says or tries to do, remember this. I am with you, every single step of the way. Don't forget that, not for a second." "I know," she replied, her voice a little shaky as she squeezed his hands back, drawing strength from his presence. But it's just so hard to ignore what she might try to do. She's so relentless, Andrew. She won't stop until she thinks she's won. Andrew nodded slowly, a line of concern etched between his brows, but his grip on her hands remained firm. I know, my love. I know how she is. But we won't give her the satisfaction, the pleasure of seeing us shaken. We won't let her win that way. Just be yourself, Maya. That's more than enough. It's everything. The journey to the Thorne mansion felt long, the silence in the car filled with unspoken thoughts. As they approached, the mansion glittered under the nightlights, a dazzling spectacle of wealth and power. Hundreds of guests, dressed in their finest, mingled on the sprawling lawns and inside the grand halls. Their laughter and conversations, a low hum of polite society, echoed through the warm evening air. Maya walked beside Andrew, feeling the immediate shift in the atmosphere. She felt the curious stares, the quick, judging glances, and the subtle whispers that Patricia had surely set in motion. She held her head high, her spine straight, remembering Andrew's unwavering words and the deep, silent strength of her own family's love. Patricia's plan, the surprise toast she had hinted at with such cruel glee, hung in the air like a dark, heavy cloud, a storm waiting to break. But Maya was ready. She would face it. She would not let them break her spirit. She would not let them diminish the love she shared with Andrew. The dinner that followed felt stiff and formal, each course served with a quiet precision that only added to the tension. Maya felt Patricia's eyes on her many times throughout the meal, a cold, almost hungry excitement in their depths. Maya's heart beat a little faster with each glance, but she forced herself to stay calm, to focus on the quiet strength Andrew offered with his hand resting gently on her knee under the table. She was here for him and for herself, to show that she belonged, not by birthright, but by character. The air grew thick with unspoken words and hidden intentions. Then, the moment arrived. When it was time for the toasts, a hush fell over the room. Patricia, with a smile that never quite reached her cold eyes, took the microphone from a waiting servant. Her voice, clear and sharp, filled the grand ballroom. "Dear friends and family," Patricia began, her tone perfectly polished. "It is truly a joy to celebrate this very special day, my husband's parents' anniversary, with all of you. And, on this truly special night, I want to welcome someone new to our distinguished circle, someone who has brought shall we say, a rather unique perspective to my son, Andrew's, life. Maya, darling, please do come up here and say a few words. Share your unique perspective with us all." A heavy, thick quiet fell over the room, so profound that Maya could almost hear the thoughts of the hundreds of guests. Every single eye in the room, it seemed, turned to her. Some were filled with simple curiosity, others with open judgment, and a few, she noticed, with a flicker of sympathy. Andrew gently squeezed her hand again, a silent, powerful sign of his unwavering support. She took a deep, steadying breath, gathering every ounce of courage she possessed. Then, she stood up slowly, her simple blue dress a stark contrast to the shimmering gowns around her, and began to walk toward the microphone. Each step felt deliberate, a quiet defiance. She could feel the tension in the air, a physical weight. Patricia watched her, a smug, winning smile playing on her lips, clearly expecting Maya to shrink, to stumble, or to make a humiliating mistake. As Maya reached the small stage and took the microphone, the heavy weight of everyone's expectations, and especially Patricia's malicious energy, pressed down on her. But instead of feeling overwhelmed or scared, a surprising, deep calm settled over her. She looked first at Andrew, who watched her with an expression of pure pride and unwavering love, his eyes shining with unshed tears. Then, she slowly scanned the crowd, her gaze meeting some curious faces, some openly hostile, but also a few kind and encouraging ones. "Good evening, everyone," Maya's voice began, surprisingly steady and clear, filling the vast room. It carried a quiet strength that surprised even herself. "It is truly an honor to be here tonight, to celebrate such a meaningful milestone. I was asked to say a few words, and what comes to mind, on this night of togetherness and celebration, is the profound importance of family and the dignity of honest hard work." Patricia's smug smile faltered, a small frown appearing on her perfectly smooth forehead. She was clearly surprised by Maya's composure and the unexpected direction of her words. Maya, sensing this shift, kept going, her voice growing stronger, more confident, and deeply emotional with each sentence. My family, she explained, her voice softening slightly as she thought of them, taught me from a very young age the true value of perseverance, of never giving up, and of facing challenges with courage. I grew up in a home where honest work wasn't just about earning money to survive, but about building character, about having dignity, and about feeling a deep, quiet pride in what you create with your own hands and heart. My father, my mother, my brothers and sisters, they all showed me through their daily lives and their unwavering spirits that no matter where you come from, no matter what difficult circumstances you face, honesty, integrity, and dedication are the most fundamental, the most important parts of a truly good and meaningful life. The hundreds of people in the room listened, captivated. The murmurs died down, replaced by a respectful silence. Maya didn't mention Patricia or the past directly, but her words were a powerful, elegant answer to the narrow-mindedness and snobbery Patricia tried to show. Her speech was a quiet declaration of her own worth, a gentle but firm challenge to the superficial values of the high society around her. True wealth, she continued, her gaze sweeping across the room, isn't found in the material things we collect, in the titles we hold, or in the grand houses we live in. It's found in the genuine connections we make with other human beings, in the profound lessons we learn from our struggles, and in the quiet, inner strength to get back up after every fall, no matter how hard. It's about being real, about being authentic, about valuing the people and the experiences that truly matter, the ones that fill your life with purpose and joy. She looked directly at Mr. Thorne, who listened with a thoughtful, almost pained expression, his eyes fixed on her. Then, her gaze softened as it met Andrew's. He was smiling, his eyes glistening with unshed tears of pride and love. I truly believe, Maya concluded, her voice resonating with deep conviction, that in the end, what truly defines us, what makes us who we are, isn't the labels others try to put on us, or the expectations society places upon us. It is the unwavering strength of our character, the kindness we choose to share with the world, and the truth that lives within our hearts. Thank you. For a moment, there was silence. Then a single clap, tentative at first, quickly grew into a ripple, then a wave of loud, warm applause that filled the entire ballroom. People were standing, clapping, their faces showing admiration and respect. Maya had taken Patricia's cruel attempt to shame her and had gracefully, powerfully, turned it into an inspiring, moving speech. She had charmed everyone, touching their hearts, and had exposed Patricia's smallness and meanness without saying a single direct word about her. Patricia, standing frozen by the side of the stage, turned visibly pale, her face contorted in a mixture of shock, disbelief, and silent fury. Her carefully laid plan had not just failed, it had blown up in her face, right in front of everyone. As Maya gracefully walked down from the stage, the powerful emotional feeling from her speech still hung heavy in the air, a palpable energy that had replaced the earlier tension. The applause slowly died down, replaced by a low hum of excited whispers and murmurs, as guests discussed what they had just witnessed. Patricia stood frozen, her face a mask of silent fury, her eyes fixed on Maya with a venomous glare. But before the buzz could fully settle, a tall, distinguished older man with a shock of elegant gray hair slowly stood up from his table near the front. It was Mr. Henderson, the Thorne family's longtime lawyer, a man known for his sharp mind, his unwavering honesty, and his deep loyalty to Mr. Thorne. He had been watching Patricia for many years, quietly observing her subtle tricks and her hidden, cold meanness. Maya's speech, so full of genuine honesty and heartfelt truth, had deeply moved him, stirring a sense of moral duty within him. He felt, with a profound certainty, that it was finally time for the full truth to come out, to tear down the carefully constructed lies that had shadowed the Thorne family for too long. He walked slowly, deliberately, towards the microphone, his presence commanding attention. As he approached, all eyes in the room turned to him, a new wave of curiosity sweeping through the crowd. Patricia, sensing danger, tried to stop him, a desperate plea forming on her lips. But Mr. Thorne, his face now a thundercloud of dawning realization and quiet fury, gave her a stern, silencing look. He knew Mr. Henderson well enough to understand that if he was speaking, it was for a very important reason. "Excuse me, Patricia," Mr. Henderson began, his voice calm but firm, resonating with an undeniable authority that silenced the last whispers in the room. "I believe something very important needs to be made perfectly clear tonight, for the sake of honesty and integrity. Mrs. Thorne just spoke about where people come from and whether they are good enough. But perhaps it is time we discuss the real origins of her own wealth and her high place in this society. A collective gasp, a shocked murmur, swept through the room like a sudden gust of wind. The air crackled with disbelief. Patricia's face turned ashen white, her mouth opening and closing silently, a desperate no trapped in her throat. Mr. Henderson continued, his voice growing stronger, unwavering, as he laid out the facts with precise, legal clarity. Many years ago, he stated, his gaze sweeping across the stunned faces, before she married Mr. Thorne and became the esteemed Mrs. Thorne, Patricia, then known by her maiden name, Patricia Miller, was involved in a rather significant financial impropriety. She used confidential inside information from a struggling company, where her father was a low-level employee, to make highly illegal investments. It was not a massive crime in terms of scale, but it was a deeply dishonest act, a calculated betrayal of trust which she then meticulously hid for decades. She carefully constructed a false narrative of humble but honest beginnings to fit into the upper echelons of society she so desperately craved. The shock in the room was now absolute, a tangible force. Mr. Thorne, sitting at the main table, his face a mixture of profound betrayal and blinding rage, stared at Patricia. His eyes, which had been thoughtful moments before, now burned with a cold, devastating anger. He watched Patricia, who was now openly weeping, tears streaming down her face, her carefully composed facade crumbling into a mess of shame and fear. Patricia has always been a woman driven by an insatiable desire for more, Mr. Henderson continued, his voice unwavering, and that relentless desire, that ambition, led her to deceive, to manipulate, and to hurt those she perceived as obstacles or threats. Her cruel treatment of Maya tonight, her attempt to publicly humiliate an innocent young woman, is merely the latest, most public example of a lifetime of calculated fakery and deep-seated meanness. Andrew, who had been standing protectively next to Maya, his arm around her, now stepped forward, his face a mixture of profound anger and heartbreaking sadness. "Mother," he choked out, his voice raw with emotion. "How could you? After everything you've done, all your lies, all these years of deception, I simply cannot believe it." He turned to the stunned crowd, his voice rising, filled with a passionate conviction. "My mother's actions, her deceptions, cannot and will not be excused. Maya," he said, turning to look at her, his eyes full of love and respect, "is the most honest, the most worthy, and the most genuinely good person I know. She deserves all the respect in this room, and far more than my mother ever gave her." Mr. Thorne slowly stood up, his tall, imposing figure commanding the entire room. The sadness and pain in his eyes were now painfully clear, etched deep into his face. He looked at Patricia, who was now sobbing uncontrollably, her perfect makeup ruined by tears. "Sigh, Patricia," he said, his voice low, steady, and utterly final, each word a hammer blow. "I can no longer live with this lie. Our marriage is over, effective immediately." His words echoed through the stunned silence, a thunderclap that shattered the illusions of a lifetime. Patricia stumbled back, clutching her chest, her world spinning, collapsing around her. The truth, raw and brutal, had finally come out, and nothing, absolutely nothing, would ever be the same again. The grand gala, meant to be a celebration of the Thorne family's power, had instead become the stage for its dramatic, public downfall. Guests began to quickly make their exits, leaving Patricia alone in the ruins of her carefully constructed life. In the immediate aftermath of the gala, as the last stunned guests quietly slipped away into the night, leaving the grand Thorne mansion in an eerie silence, the emotional fallout was immense. The air, once filled with laughter and music, now hung heavy with the weight of shattered secrets and broken trust. For Patricia Thorne, the world she had so carefully built on appearances and manipulations crumbled into dust. The social ostracism that followed was swift and merciless. The polite smiles and forced conversations that once surrounded her evaporated, replaced by cold stares and firmly closed doors. Her former friends and allies, who had once flocked to her side, now distanced themselves from the woman whose cruelty and hypocrisy had been so publicly and undeniably exposed. The Grand Thorne Mansion, once a shining symbol of her power and prestige, became a stark, cold reminder of her spectacular downfall, a luxurious prison where she was left utterly alone, her vast wealth now tainted by scandal, her very name synonymous with deceit. She was an isolated soul in a magnificent, icy fortress she herself had constructed, a monument to her own undoing. But while Patricia was left to drown in the bitter consequences of her choices, Maya and Andrew, hand in hand, began to build a new dawn, a future bathed in the warm light of truth and genuine affection. The unwavering support of Mr. Thorne, who now seemed a visibly lighter, more peaceful man, and the quiet, enduring strength of Maya's siblings formed the unbreakable foundation of their shared future, a future forged not in gold, but in authentic values. Mr. Thorne, finally free from the emotional prison of a loveless marriage and profoundly regretful for his past blindness to his wife's true, manipulative nature, embraced Maya as if she were his own daughter. He became not just an ally, but a true mentor and a pillar of wisdom for the young couple, offering not only his vast financial resources, now given without any conditions or strings attached, but also his immense experience and sagacity, guiding them with a gentle hand. The Daily Spoon, which had begun as a humble, beloved food truck, transcended its origins, blossoming into something far greater. With Andrew's visionary investment and Maya's boundless, infectious passion, it transformed into a charming, vibrant restaurant nestled in the very heart of Riverbend. Every single brick, every carefully chosen table, every warm, inviting aroma that wafted from the bustling kitchen was infused with the very spirit of authenticity and love. The restaurant was not merely a place to eat. It quickly became a cherished gathering spot for the entire community, a warm, welcoming refuge where people felt truly at home. Maya's comforting, homemade dishes, each one a celebration of traditional, home-style cooking, told stories of heritage, of warmth, and of profound care. The success was nothing short of resounding, a clear, undeniable testament to the truth, the integrity, and the genuine spirit that Maya represented. Andrew, in a moment of profound self-discovery, realized that his true passion, his deepest fulfillment, was not to be found in the cold, sterile corridors of the corporate world in Central City. It was in the warm, bustling kitchen alongside Maya, in the joyful laughter of satisfied customers, and in the tangible, meaningful act of building something real and impactful with his own hands and heart. He made a decision that surprised many but filled him with an immense sense of joy and purpose. He left his high-flying executive life behind, without a single backward glance or a moment of regret, and fully invested himself, not just his money but his very being, in Maya's burgeoning business. He became Maya's indispensable right hand, managing the restaurant's finances and its expansion with the same meticulous precision he once dedicated to multi-million-dollar deals, but now with a profound sense of purpose that warmed his very soul. Maya, for her part, bloomed in the kitchen, her creative spirit overflowing into new, innovative dishes that instantly became local favorites, each one a delicious masterpiece. They formed a perfect, harmonious team, their lives and their work beautifully intertwined in a graceful, joyful dance. "It's truly incredible, Andrew," Maya whispered one soft evening, her voice filled with wonder, as she looked around their bustling restaurant, filled with the happy chatter of customers and the comforting clatter of plates. "Everything we've built together. I honestly never thought any of this would be possible." Andrew wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. The comforting scent of spices, of freshly baked bread, and of pure happiness filled the air around them. "It was possible, my love," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion, "because you are real, Maya. And because we are real. That's what people feel here, in this place. It's our truth, shining through everything we do." The story of Maya and Andrew, of their triumph over deceit and their unwavering commitment to authenticity, spread quickly through Riverbend and far beyond its borders. It became a living legend, a powerful, inspiring narrative passed from person to person. It was irrefutable proof that true wealth is not measured in empty titles, in ill-gotten fortunes, or in the size of one's bank account. It is found, instead, in unshakable integrity, in the profound, nurturing power of love, and in the unbreakable human connections that can withstand and even thrive through any storm. Maya's family, now more united and stronger than ever before, flourished in Riverbend, having built a legacy not of material riches, but of timeless values, love, honesty, and the dignity of hard work that elevates the human spirit. The restaurant The Daily Spoon was far more than just a successful business. It was a beacon of hope, a daily, delicious reminder that authenticity always, always prevails, and that the deepest, most enduring happiness flourishes only where truth and genuine affection are the very pillars of every single day. And so, in the heart of Riverbend, Maya and Andrew's lives continued to unfold. A rich, vibrant tapestry woven with threads of deep love, meaningful work, and a powerful legacy that would echo and inspire for generations to come. Touched by my story? Like and comment which part made you cry. Subscribe for more stories like mine. Share with a friend who needs inspiration. Don't miss the next video.